Hello, I'm Bryon Wilfert, Member of Parliament, Richmond Hill. This is Iran Zameen TV, and I'd like to talk to you today about two issues. The first one is about the proroguing of Parliament, or what is more commonly known as the shutting down of Parliament. The shutting down of Parliament, or the proroguing of Parliament, is normally done after a long legislative agenda. Unfortunately, what we have seen the current Conservative government has done is that they have closed down Parliament twice in a year. What does that mean for you? That means that your members of Parliament do not have a voice in Parliament to check the government. No matter who is in power, the role of a Parliament is to keep an eye on the executive, on the cabinet, on the Prime Minister. What has effectively happened is that things like the Special Afghan Committee that's doing an inquiry into what the government knew in terms of the transfer of prisoners to the Afghan authorities is shut down. And as the Vice Chair of that, I can tell you that we're going to continue to hold informal meetings on that issue. We will not be silenced. The packing of the Senate by the Conservative government in order to get their agenda through is again a concern. The fact is that members of Parliament are there to represent you, but also to keep government in check. And the fact that the Prime Minister has just phoned the Governor-General and said, we're not going to do business now for another 40 days is of great concern. I think that in a democratic institution, parliaments must function. We've seen dictators in Latin America simply close down parliaments they don't like. In Iran, we've seen not only parliaments closed down, we've seen, unfortunately, sometimes members of parliament who have disappeared. Now, obviously, we're not at that stage in this country. What we are is that we're disappearing in terms of our voice in Parliament on issues such as the economy, on issues such as job creation, issues such as pensions. These are important issues that must be debated, and the forum to do that is Parliament. And so the Prime Minister's unusual step of closing Parliament down for the second time in a year is not only of great concern, but the fact that we've had 190 academics write an open letter opposing this motion. We've also seen Tom Flanagan, the guru of the Reform Party, question the Prime Minister in terms of this situation. When we look at the situation currently unfolding in Iran, we see a situation where people are not able to communicate effectively through their parliamentarians. So they've taken to the streets because they have seen the June 12th election as a sham. The current government in Iran, the government which of course professes to be a religious government that preaches and supposedly implements the Quran, the Holy Quran, clearly that mask has fallen. They are using typical tactics that we often see in very repressive regimes. The use of police, secret police, the Revolutionary Guard and others to silence people. What has been the response of the Iranian public? The Iranian public has not only turned from peaceful demonstrations, but now actually turning on symbols of authority, such as police stations, government office buildings. People are not able to vent their displeasure through Parliament, and therefore they have taken to the streets. And the response of the government, of course, is to blame Western agents, communist mujahideen, etc. Well, clearly that isn't being bought either in Iran or outside of the country. The fact that people are being killed, Mossadegh, of course, has gone from a person who ran for president on a reform ticket to really now a person in opposition to the government. We've seen Rafsanjani and others who've come out clearly questioning not only the supreme leader, but the whole approach of this government. This government is a very repressive regime and clearly is in name only in terms of saying that they actually represent the religious authority. They have no religious authority now, and even Ayatollahs within the regime are questioning the supreme leader. It is very, very disturbing, and obviously human rights, and I've spoken on this in the past, that the preservation of human rights both in Iran and elsewhere must be a central focal point. And I have supported, as I've commented in the past about the Iran Accountability Act, we must make sure that we freeze assets of Iranian leaders and business people doing work in this country. We are pushing the current conservative government to do just that. We cannot have business as usual. And therefore, I think we do recognize the importance of democratic institutions. And where people are not able to express themselves in Canada, they have now gone online, they've gone on different social networking to voice their opposition to the closing of Parliament. In Iran, they've taken to the streets. The only difference is in the mechanisms of which they are using. The concern clearly is that the voice of the people must be heard, and we must continue to be vigilant. And I would, as a member of Parliament for Richmond Hill, invite my constituents, certainly if they have any concerns on these issues, to contact me. I certainly write the Minister of Foreign Affairs on a regular basis on issues dealing with Iran and other issues of concern in the international community. Your voice must be heard, and the fact that Parliament is closed doesn't mean that we are not going to be speaking up for you. And on January 25th, the day that Parliament is to formally resume, and will not because of proroguing, I will be there. And I will continue to speak on your behalf. And again, if you have issues with regard to the current state in Canada or the continuing ongoing crisis in Iran, please contact me, Bryon Wilfert, Member of Parliament. Thank you very much.